Chapter 3: How to Throw a Knife. It has been pointed out that knife throwing is fun. It is also easy to learn the techniques of throwing a knife, providing the thrower has the ability to hurl a rock, stick, or baseball. Handle grip. Before any sportsman can learn to throw a knife properly, however, he first must know how to grip the weapon. He will start out using either the handle grip or the blade grip, depending upon which style of throwing knife he has chosen. He will start out using either the handle grip or the blade grip, depending upon which style of throwing knife he has chosen. Since the handle throwing type is the easiest to throw, it is the model that will be considered first. After you have selected a knife of the proper length, weight, and balance, one that feels right to you, you should grasp the handle firmly in the same natural manner in which you would normally grasp a hatchet handle. The ball of your thumb is pressed against the rivet nearest the hilt, and your fingers are curled firmly and comfortably around the handle. With the target in position and you standing at a distance of approximately 15 feet from the bullseye, you should now be ready to try that first practice throw. Keeping the plane of the knife vertical as it leaves your hand, pitch the weapon hard and fast with an overhand throw, letting it slip out of your hand when you instinctively feel that it is lined up properly with the target. The results of that first throw are not too important because, before you can expect to attain proficiency as a knife thrower, it is necessary to understand thoroughly the mechanics of the throw and the simple techniques involved. Blade grip. When throwing by the blade, assuming you have selected a weapon designed and balanced for this style of throwing, you grasp the blade of the knife firmly, cutting edge away from the palm of your hand, with the thumb pointed directly towards the handle. Your first, second, and third fingers are lined up on the opposite side of the blade, while the little finger can be curled up and out of the way. It is too short to be of much help anyway. From the bottom finger to the tip of the point, an inch or so of steel should protrude. This will bring the point to within 1/2 inch of the crease in your skin where the hand and wrist are joined. It will also permit much better control of the knife than if you grasped it at the extreme tip of the point. The throw is then made with the plane of the knife horizontal. This is the method recommended for the thrower who is using a weapon with one sharp edge. With a professional style of throwing knife, of the design favored by true professionals of the art, there are no sharp edges involved. The blade throw is practically the same as the handle throw, in which case, of course, the knife is always thrown with the plane of the blade vertical. But professional throwing techniques differ somewhat from those used by sportsmen and will be considered in depth in Chapter 8. The game of baseball offers the best example of illustrating the basic points of knife throwing, because in the overhand pitch, the mechanics of the movements are about the same. 4 elements are involved: stance, wind-up, throw, and follow-through. Using the handle throw, the handle is grasped by the method described previously: firm grip, ball of thumb on rivet nearest the hilt, and fingers curled naturally around the handle. The plane of the blade should be vertical when it leaves your hand. Stance. Your stance is like that of a right-handed baseball pitcher, right foot forward on the mound at a distance of 4 or 5 paces, or approximately 15 feet from the target. Wind up and throw. With a natural wind-up for a hard, fast throw with full power and velocity, you swing your body and left leg forward in the throwing movement, while your knife arm swings back, up, and forward in a smooth circular sweep toward the target. The throw is very similar to an overhand pitch or cracking a bullwhip, but without the usual wrist snap. The knife should slip from your hand just before you reach the end of your swing. At the split second, you instinctively know it is lined up with the bullseye. Follow-through. The follow-through is a continuation of the throwing movement after the knife has slipped from your hand. It is carried out to the end of your full, natural swing. Knife throwing experts, both professionals and sportsmen alike, agree completely that the follow-through is the real secret of guiding your knife accurately to the target. Remember that the knife must leave your hand with no wrist snap. A good rule is to let it slip from your grasp as though it were red hot. This thought at the moment of release should do much to eliminate any potential wrist snap in the throw. Your distance from the target. Since no knife flies as an arrow flies, but spins naturally end over end, similar to a pinwheel, except in an underhand bowling throw of 3 or 4 feet from the target. It is necessary first to find the exact distance you must stand away from the target for a successful throw, and then to mark the spot so that you can stand on it each time. This is one factor that must remain constant for each distance thrown, whether you are hurling the blade for a half spin or are using the quintuple spin sometimes necessary when hunting game or giving demonstrations of your knife-throwing prowess. If you are left-handed, the technique is the same but adapted to the left-handed stance. Now your throw has been made. If the knife stuck the target squarely, point first, you have already found your correct distance to stand each time for a successful throw. If the blade hit flat against the target with the point upward, it is necessary to step backward a foot or two. If it hit flat with the point downward, you must step forward a foot or two. If the knife stuck the target handle first, you must experiment a foot or two backward or forward on each throw until the weapon strikes the target squarely, point first. Now you have found your spot. Dig a hole, drive a stake, but make sure that spot is marked. Pace off the distance and memorize it to the inch, because from now on, you are a knife thrower. Proper coordination, which includes perfect timing and rhythm in your swing, release, and follow-through, is necessary for each successful throw. Accuracy is developed only by practice. Target distance for blade grip. The technique in throwing by the blade grip varies somewhat from handle throwing techniques because there is an extra half spin involved after the weapon leaves your hand. First, you must find your distance during a preliminary throw. If you have been standing 4 or 5 paces from the target for the handle throw on a single revolution of the knife, try 6 or 7 paces for the blade throw of 1 1/2 spins. You will need the extra pace or two since the weapon will be leaving your hand handle first, and it should be thrown with the plane of the blade horizontal. If you have accurately determined your distance for the 1 1/2 spin throw and hit the target squarely, point first, you will have quickly learned the basic technique for throwing a sharp-edged knife by the blade. If it failed to stick, you must again experiment backward or forward, as in the handle throw, until you have found your exact spot upon which to stand each time for a successful blade throw. Again, memorize and mark the distance to the inch and make it a point to throw from that same distance every time you hurl the knife by the blade for a 1 1/2 spin throw. Extending the target distance. Eventually the time will come when you will want to stick the knife at a greater distance, such as a double spin by the handle or 2 1/2 spins by the blade. Regardless of the number of spins involved, the knife should always be thrown hard and fast with your full velocity and power, and of course with a greater distance to the target involved, the more power the better. The additional distance required to get that extra spin averages out to about 3 paces. For example, if you get a perfect single spin throw by the handle at 5 paces, you can experiment to get a perfect double spin at 8 paces. For example, if you get a perfect single spin throw by the handle at 5 paces, you can expect to get a perfect double spin throw at 8 paces. The same rule applies to the blade throw when increasing the range from 1 1/2 to 2 1/2 spins, and the same for a triple spin, and so on. For the reason you need 5 full paces for the single spin handle throw as opposed to 8 paces for the double spin throw is that the movement of the body and knife hand forward from the original stance consumes about 2 paces of the distance before the weapon actually leaves your hand. The knife in flight may make its complete turn in 3 paces from the target, or a double turn in 6 paces from the target. But you have to add the additional 2 paces for the mechanics of the throw, regardless of 1, 2, 3, or more spins up to the maximum controllable distance of 5 spins. You will have to allow for greater distances involved in multiple spins by increasing the trajectory or line of flight of the knife, the same as you would were you throwing a baseball 100 feet instead of only half the distance. So remember to throw it hard and fast at any distance involving 1 full spin or more. You will find, after much practice, that you can keep reasonable control of the thrown knife up to approximately 50 feet. The big job, then, is to be able to hit the target at that distance, to say nothing of getting the weapon to stick squarely. Throwing a knife at the longer distances is not too practical for ordinary target practice unless you are training for accuracy in hunting game. The techniques and other points concerning this phase of knife throwing will be explained fully in a later chapter.